The hospital corridor smells like antiseptic and broken dreams. I'm running, my sneakers squeaking against linoleum, my scrub still damp from the coffee I spilled 3 hours ago, because the nurse said my mother's oxygen levels dropped and I need to get here now. I round the corner and stop dead. Julian is standing outside my mother's room. Not alone. He has his arm around someone, a woman in a designer coat, her blonde hair perfect even at 2 in the morning. They're whispering and he's stroking her back in a way that makes my stomach clench. Julian. My voice comes out strangled. He turns and the guilt that flashes across his face tells me everything before he opens his mouth. Elena? This isn't what it looks like. The blonde woman turns too, and I recognize her from the photos on his desk that he always said were just old friends. Victoria Ashford, daughter of his father's business partner, the girl his family always wanted him to marry. Your mother is stable, she says coolly, like she has any right to tell me about my own mother. The nurse said you can see her in a few minutes. What are you doing here? I look between them. Julian, what is she doing here? He has the decency to look uncomfortable. Victoria came to support me. It's been really hard, Elena, watching your mother decline. Hard for you. The words come out sharp enough to cut. She's my mother. I know, and I've been here for you. You've been here twice in 3 weeks. My hands are shaking. I called you 4 hours ago when she crashed, and you didn't answer. You didn't call back. You didn't... My voice cracks. I thought something happened to you. I'm sorry. My phone died and I was with her. It's not a question. The silence is answer enough. Victoria shifts uncomfortably. Julian, maybe we should... No. I step closer, my exhaustion forgotten in the white-hot fury flooding my veins. Stay, I want to hear this. How long? Eleanor, how long? Julian runs a hand through his perfect hair. 2 months. But it's complicated. 2 months. I'm shaking so hard my teeth chatter. 2 months, while I've been working 3 jobs to pay for my mother's treatment. 2 months while I've been sleeping 4 hours a night. 2 months while I've been begging you to spend time with me, to help me, to just be there. And I have been there, he interrupts, defensive now. I've given you money. Money. The laugh that escapes me is ugly. You gave me money so you could fuck your ex-girlfriend with a clear conscience. Victoria flinches. Good. That's not fair, Julian says. You know my family. There are expectations, Elena. Business considerations. My father needs this merger with the Ashfords, and Victoria and we make sense. On paper. On paper. I repeat the words like they're in a foreign language. And what am I? Off paper? He struggles. You're real. You're good. You make me feel like a better person, but not good enough to actually choose. His silence is the final nail in the coffin of whatever we were. Get out, I whisper. Elena, please, let's talk about this when you're calmer. Get out! The shout tears from my throat, loud enough that a nurse pokes her head out of a nearby room. Get out of this hospital. Get out of my life. Get the fuck away from my mother's room. You're being unreasonable. Julian. Victoria touches his arm. We should go. Give her space. He looks at me one more time and I see it. The relief in his eyes. Relief that he doesn't have to choose. Relief that I'm making it easy for him. I'm sorry, he says. I really am. I never meant to hurt you. Then they walk away together, her heels clicking on the linoleum, his hand finding the small of her back. And I'm alone in the hallway, my mother dying 20 feet away, my entire world crumbling around me. I sink against the wall and let the tears come. The nurse, kind, middle-aged, with soft eyes, kneels beside me. Honey, you can see her now. She's asking for you. I wipe my face with my sleeve, trying to pull myself together. Is there anyone I can call for you? The nurse asks gently. Family? Friends? No. The word tastes like ash. There's no one. I push myself up and follow her into my mother's room. Mama looks so small in the hospital bed, her skin grey against the white sheets, oxygen tubes in her nose. But her eyes are open, and they're sharp with concern. "Baby girl," she whispers. "I heard shouting. Was that Julian?" "It's over, Mama." I take her hand, careful of the IV. "He's gone." She squeezes my fingers with what little strength she has. "Good. That boy never deserved you anyway." Despite everything, I almost smile. "You never liked him." "He had soft hands and a weak chin." She coughs, the sound rattling in her chest. "You need a man with a backbone, Elena. Someone strong enough to stand beside you, not behind you. Right now, I just need you to get better. Elena." Her voice is serious now. "The doctor talked to me today, before the crash." My stomach drops. What did he say? That we're out of options, that the treatment isn't working anymore. Her eyes fill with tears. That I have maybe 3 months, maybe less. "No." I shake my head violently. "No. There are other treatments, experimental trials. We're out of money, baby." Her voice is gentle but firm. "We've already spent everything, sold everything. There's nothing left." "I'll find a way." "You can't." She cups my face with her free hand. "And I don't want you to kill yourself trying. I want you to live, Elena. Really live. Not just survive. I can't do this without you." "Yes, you can." She smiles even as tears stream down her face. "You're the strongest person I know. You're going to be fine." But I'm not fine. I'm the opposite of fine. I'm broken and alone and drowning in medical debt with nowhere left to turn. The nurse comes back, an hour later with discharge papers. "I'm sorry, Ms. Moretti, but without payment for the next round of treatment, we can't keep your mother here. You'll need to make arrangements." "Arrangements?" I stare at her. She needs oxygen. She needs monitoring. I understand. But hospital policy? Fuck your hospital policy. The words explode out of me. "She's dying. You can't just throw her out." "Eleanor." Mama's voice cuts through my panic. "It's okay. We'll figure it out." But it's not okay. Nothing is okay. I sign the discharge papers with shaking hands and help my mother into a wheelchair. The nurse gives us a prescription for pain medication we can't afford and a list of hospice facilities I don't want to look at. It's 4 in the morning when we finally make it outside. The October air is cold and sharp, cutting through my thin scrubs. I stand on the curb, trying to remember where I parked, trying to figure out how to get my mother home when I'm about to collapse from exhaustion. That's when I see him. A man leaning against a black car in the pickup zone. Tall, easily 6'3", with dark hair and a face that looks like it was carved from stone. He's wearing an expensive suit despite the hour, and he's staring directly at me. Our eyes meet, and something electric passes between us. Then he pushes off the car and walks toward me. "Elena Moretti," he says. His voice is deep and rough, like whiskey and smoke. "How do you know my name?" My hand tightens on my mother's wheelchair. "I know everything about you." He glances at my mother, then back to me. "I know your mother has stage 4 lung cancer. I know Julian Harrington just broke your heart in that hospital corridor. I know you're out of money and out of options and about 30 seconds away from falling apart completely." Ice floods my veins. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who can help." He pulls out his phone and shows me a screen. It's a bank transfer confirmation, $250,000 to St. Catherine's Hospital. "That's your mother's treatment covered for the next year, paid in full. No strings attached." I stare at the screen, my brain refusing to process what I'm seeing. This is a trick. It's real. He slides the phone back into his pocket. "The transfer went through 5 minutes ago. You can call and confirm if you'd like." "Why would you do this? What do you want?" His smile is slow and dangerous. 30 days, Elena. You give me 30 days and I'll give you everything you need. Your mother's treatment, a place to live, and," his eyes grow cold, "revenge on everyone who hurt you tonight. If you're loving this story already, please like and subscribe. Your support means everything, and I promise you won't want to miss what happens next. Revenge? Julian Harrington, his family, everyone who made you feel worthless. He steps closer and I can smell expensive cologne and something darker underneath. I'm offering you a chance to destroy them all. But first, you have to trust me. I should walk away. This is insane. This man is clearly dangerous. But my mother needs treatment. I need a miracle. And this stranger, whoever he is offering both. What do I have to do? His smile sharpens. Exactly what I tell you. For 30 days, you belong to me. No questions, no hesitation, absolute obedience. I'm not a prostitute. I don't need to pay for sex, sweetheart. This is business. He tilts his head, studying me. I need someone Julian Harrington will notice, someone who can make him regret every choice he made tonight. And in exchange, I'll give you the power to make sure he never forgets what he lost. My mother's hand squeezes mine weakly. I look down at her, at the woman who raised me alone, who worked herself to the bone, who doesn't deserve to die in a state facility because I can't save her. Then I look back at the stranger with the dangerous smile and the impossible offer. Who are you? Dante Caruso. He holds out his hand. And you're about to become the biggest mistake Julian Harrington ever made. I stare at his outstretched hand for a long moment. Then I take it. 30 days, I whisper. 30 days, he agrees. Starting now. His grip is warm and firm and absolute. The moment our palms touch, I feel it. The shift. Like signing my name in blood. Like stepping off a cliff into unknown darkness. Good girl, he murmurs. Then he opens the back door of the car. Get in, both of you. I help my mother into the vehicle. It's spacious and luxurious, smelling like leather and money. Dante slides in beside us, and the door closes with a soft click that sounds like finality. Where are we going? I ask as the car pulls smoothly into traffic. To get your mother proper care. Then to my home. Your home. For the next 30 days. He's already typing on his phone, his profile sharp in the dim light. I have a medical team waiting at my penthouse. They'll stabilize your mother and set up everything she needs. You have a medical team. At your penthouse. At 4 in the morning. I told you. I'm always prepared. He glances at me. Your mother will have round-the-clock nursing care, the best equipment money can buy, and access to specialists who can actually help her. All you have to do is keep your end of the bargain. Which is? Tomorrow, we start your transformation. New clothes, new identity, new life. His dark eyes bore into mine. By the time I'm done with you, Elena Moretti, Julian Harrington won't recognize the woman he threw away. And when he realizes what he lost, when he's begging for another chance, his smile is sharp as a blade. That's when you destroy him. The words should terrify me. Instead, they send a strange thrill down my spine. And after? After the 30 days? After you're free. Free to go back to your life with enough money to take care of your mother for the rest of her days. Free to do whatever you want. He leans back, dismissing me. But for those 30 days, Elena, you're mine. Completely. My mother has fallen asleep against my shoulder, her breathing raspy but steady. I stroke her hair and try to process what I've just agreed to. A deal with a stranger. A devil's bargain. 30 days of my life in exchange for everything I need. You still haven't told me why, I say quietly. Why help me? Why go after Julian? Something dark crosses Dante's face. Let's just say the Harrington family and I have history. Bad history. And you, Elena Moretti, are the perfect weapon to make them pay for their sins. I'm not a weapon. No, he agrees. You're a survivor. But I'm going to teach you how to be a warrior. There's a difference. The penthouse is on the 92nd floor of a building in Tribeca that probably has its own zip code. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase all of Manhattan spread out like scattered diamonds. The interior is all clean lines and dark colours, charcoal and steel and midnight blue. Modern, expensive, cold. True to his word, there's a medical team waiting. 2 nurses and a doctor who look like they were pulled from an elite private practice. They spring into action the moment we arrive, setting up a hospital-grade bed in a sun-filled room, connecting oxygen, checking vitals. My mother is too exhausted to protest. She lets them work, her eyes fluttering closed almost immediately. She'll sleep for several hours, the doctor tells me. His name is Dr. Patel, and he has kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. We'll monitor her closely. If anything changes, we'll alert you immediately. Thank you, I whisper. Dante appears at my elbow. Your room is down the hall. Second door on the left. You should rest. I can't just leave her. You can. You will. His voice is firm but not unkind. You're dead on your feet, Elena. You're no good to anyone like this. Sleep. Shower. We have a lot of work to do tomorrow. He's right. And I hate that he's right. I let him guide me to the room. It's twice the size of my entire apartment, decorated in soft greys and whites, with a bed that looks like a cloud. There are clothes in the closet, toiletries in the bathroom. Anything you need, just ask. He pauses at the door. Welcome home, Elena. Then he's gone, and I'm alone in this stranger's penthouse, in a room that costs more than I make in a year, having just sold 30 days of my life to a man I met an hour ago. I should be terrified. I should be planning my escape. Instead, I strip off my coffee-stained scrubs, step into the marble shower, and let the hot water wash away the hospital smell and Julian's betrayal and the crushing weight of the last 4 hours. When I finally collapse into bed, I sleep dreamlessly for the first time in months. I wake to sunlight streaming through windows I forgot to cover and a note on the bedside table in sharp, elegant handwriting. Breakfast is ready. Wear what's in the closet. We start in 1 hour. My heart kicks into high gear. I stumble to the closet and find it's been filled overnight with clothes. Designer labels I've only seen in magazines. Dresses and suits and casual wear, all in my size, all perfectly coordinated. Hanging front and center is a simple outfit. Black cigarette pants, a cream silk blouse, and a charcoal blazer. Understated, but expensive. The shoes, sleek black heels, probably cost more than my monthly rent used to. I shower again, taking my time, trying not to think about how much this all costs. When I emerge dressed in the outfit Dante selected, I barely recognize myself in the mirror. The clothes fit like they were made for me. Maybe they were. I find Dante in the dining room, reading something on his tablet while drinking espresso. He's wearing dark slacks and a black shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that are all muscle and scattered scars. He looks up when I enter, and his eyes track over me slowly, assessing. Better, he says. It's not quite a compliment. Sit. I sit. A woman I haven't met before appears with coffee and a plate of food I didn't ask for. Eggs, toast, fruit. This is Rosa, Dante says without looking up. She manages the household. Anything you need, you ask her. Rosa gives me a warm smile. Good morning, Miss Moretti. How do you take your coffee? Just black is fine, thank you. She pours and disappears into what must be the kitchen. Eat, Dante commands. I'm not hungry. I don't care. You're too thin. For the next 30 days, you do what I tell you. That includes eating. He sets down his tablet and fixes me with that dark stare. Your body is part of the package, Elena. I need you strong. The words should offend me. Instead, they send heat flooding through my veins. I eat. Good girl. The approval in his voice does something to my stomach that has nothing to do with hunger. Now listen carefully. Today we're shopping. Tomorrow night we attend the Vanderbilt Foundation Gala. Julian will be there. My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. Already? The best revenge is immediate. Dante leans back in his chair, studying me. He needs to see what he lost, before he has time to forget, before Victoria makes him comfortable again. I can't, I'm not ready. You don't need to be ready. You just need to follow my lead. He stands and moves around the table, stopping beside my chair. Stand up. I do, legs shaky. Dante circles me slowly, like a predator evaluating prey. Chin up, he murmurs. I lift it. Shoulders back. I straighten. When you walk into a room with me, you don't look at the floor. You don't apologize for existing. You look everyone in the eye and dare them to question why you're there. His hand settles on the small of my back, warm through the silk. Julian made you feel small because you let him. That ends now. From this moment on, you're untouchable. Do you understand? How? The word comes out broken. How do I just become someone different? You don't become someone different. You become who you were before life taught you to shrink, before your father died and your mother got sick, and you had to make yourself invisible to survive. His dark eyes bore into mine. I'm not creating someone new, Elena. I'm just reminding you who you already are. Tears prick my eyes, but I blink them back. What if I fail? Then I'll catch you. The words are firm, final. That's the deal. You trust me, and I make sure you never fall. But you have to actually trust me, Elena. No holding back. No second guessing. I swallow hard. Okay. Okay, what? Okay. I trust you. Something flickers in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or satisfaction. We'll see. Car leaves in 15 minutes. Finish your breakfast. The shopping trip is surreal. We go to stores I've only seen from the outside, places where they buzz you in and offer champagne while you browse. Dante sits in leather chairs, making calls and answering emails, while assistants bring me dresses and shoes and jewellery. That one, he'll say occasionally, not even looking up. And somehow he's always right. The dress fits perfectly, the colour suits me, the cut is exactly what I need. Are you still with me? Drop a heart in the comments if you're feeling this story. Trust me, you won't believe what happens next. How do you know? I ask after the fourth perfect selection. You're not even looking. I'm always looking. His eyes lift to meet mine in the mirror, dark and intense. Try the emerald one next. The emerald one is devastating, a floor-length gown in deep green silk that clings to curves I didn't know I had. The neckline is modest, but somehow still manages to be the sexiest thing I've ever worn. When I step out of the dressing room, Dante's expression changes. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly, his fingers still on his phone. That's the one, he says quietly, for tomorrow night. It's too much. It's perfect. He stands and crosses to me, moving around me the way he did this morning, studying every angle. Julian's going to lose his mind when he sees you in this. That's the point. Part of it. He stops in front of me, so close I have to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. The other part is making sure every man in that room understands you're mine. The possessiveness in his voice should scare me. Instead, it makes my breath catch. For 30 days, I remind him. For 30 days, he agrees. But something in his eyes suggests he's not entirely convinced. We spend 6 hours shopping. By the time we return to the penthouse, I have enough clothes and shoes and accessories to fill the closet 3 times over. Rosa helps bring everything in, and I feel guilty watching her hang up dresses that cost more than she probably makes in a month. I check on my mother. She's awake, sitting up in bed, looking better than she has in weeks. The colour has returned to her cheeks. Her breathing is easier. "Baby girl," she says when she sees me. "Look at you. You look like a movie star." "It's just clothes, Mama." "It's more than clothes." She reaches for my hand. "Who is this man? This Dante?" I sink onto the edge of her bed. "Someone who's helping us." "Nothing is free, Elena. What does he want from you?" I can't tell her the truth. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He wants company, at events, social things. It's like a job, Mama. That's all. She studies my face with eyes that have known me my whole life. "You're lying to me. I'm protecting you." "From what?" Her grip tightens. "Eleanor, if this man is dangerous..." "He's not." The lie comes easily. He's powerful. And he needs someone to attend things with him. And in exchange, he's paying for your treatment. That's all. She doesn't believe me, but she's too weak to argue. "Be careful, baby. Men like that, men with money and power, They don't do anything without a reason. I know, Mama. I'll be careful. But as I leave her room, I wonder if being careful is even possible anymore. I've already made my deal with the devil. Now I just have to survive it. That night, I can't sleep. I wander the penthouse, exploring rooms I haven't seen yet. There's a library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a gym with equipment that looks barely used, an office with papers and files scattered across a massive desk. I'm about to leave the office when something catches my eye. A photograph, half hidden under a stack of documents. I pull it out carefully. It's a family photo. Dante, much younger, maybe 16 or 17, standing with an older man who must be his father. They're in front of a building with a sign that reads Caruso and Sons Construction, but someone has drawn a red X over the building and written across the bottom in angry capital letters, "Destroyed by Jonathan Harrington." Jonathan Harrington, Julian's father. My heart starts to race. I flip through more papers, finding documents about business deals gone wrong, lawsuits, bankruptcy filings, all connected to the Harrington family, all connected to the systematic destruction of Dante's father's company. Find something interesting? I spin around to find Dante standing in the doorway. His expression is unreadable, but there's danger in his stillness. I'm sorry, I couldn't sleep. I didn't mean to snoop. But you did. He moves into the office, closing the door behind him. So now you know. Julian's father destroyed your family's business. He did more than that. Dante's voice is cold, controlled. My father built that company from nothing. It was supposed to be my legacy, but Jonathan Harrington wanted the contracts we had, the connections. So he used his money and his power to make sure we lost everything. I'm sorry. My father killed himself. The words are flat, emotionless. He couldn't handle the shame, the failure. He put a gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger, and I was the one who found him. My hand flies to my mouth. Dante. I was 17 years old. He moves to the window, staring out at the city. And I swore that day I would make the Harringtons pay, that I would take everything from them the way they took everything from me. So that's what I am, your revenge. You're my justice. He turns to face me. Julian Harrington is weak, entitled. He's never faced consequences for anything in his life, so I'm going to teach him what it feels like to lose something precious, to want something he can't have, to suffer. By using me. By partnering with you. He crosses to me, his eyes intense. You want revenge too, Elena. Don't pretend you don't. He betrayed you, humiliated you, chose someone else while you were drowning in medical bills and grief. You have just as much right to make him suffer as I do. He's right. Beneath the fear and uncertainty, there's rage simmering in my chest. Rage at Julian for his lies, at the Harrington family for their cruelty, at a world that lets people like them destroy people like us. What's the plan? I hear myself ask. Dante's smile is slow and sharp. We make Julian fall in love with you all over again. We make him choose you over Victoria, over his family, over everything. And then, when he's completely exposed, when he's risked everything for you, he pauses. That's when you destroy him, publicly, brutally, the same way he destroyed you. And your revenge on his father? Already in motion. He pulls out his phone and shows me financial documents. For the past 3 months, I've been convincing Jonathan Harrington to invest in a development deal. $50 million of his personal fortune going into a project that's about to collapse. By the time we're done with Julian, his father will be bankrupt too. The cruelty of it should shock me. Instead, I feel something close to satisfaction. When do we start? Tomorrow night. At the gala. He tucks his phone away. But Elena, you need to understand something. Once we start this, there's no going back. You'll be burning bridges you can never rebuild. The Harringtons will hate you. Their entire social circle will turn against you. You'll be an outcast. Good. The word comes out fierce, strong. Let them hate me. I'm tired of being the girl who gets stepped on. Something like pride flashes in Dante's eyes. Then get some rest. Tomorrow, we remind Julian Harrington what a mistake looks like. The Vanderbilt Foundation Gala is exactly the kind of event I used to see from the outside, serving drinks to people who never looked me in the eye. Tonight, I'm walking through the front door on Dante Caruso's arm, wearing an emerald gown that cost more than my car, dripping in borrowed diamonds. The moment we enter the ballroom, heads turn. Conversations pause. I feel the weight of 100 stares like physical pressure against my skin. Dante's hand slides to the small of my back, possessive and steadying. "Chin up," he murmurs. "You belong here more than any of them." We move through the crowd like royalty. People nod at Dante with varying degrees of respect and fear. Their eyes slide to me, questions written clearly on their faces. I don't answer them. I don't smile apologetically or explain my presence. I do exactly what Dante told me to do. I look them in the eye and dare them to question why I'm here. And it works. By the time we reach our table, front and center, prime positioning, I can feel the power shift. I'm not the servant anymore. I'm not the girl who didn't belong. Tonight, I'm someone who belongs more than any of them. Then I see him. Julian. He's across the room with Victoria, both of them dressed to perfection, looking like the golden couple everyone expects them to be. He hasn't seen me yet, but it's only a matter of time. "Breathe," Dante murmurs in my ear. "Remember what I told you?" I nod, not trusting my voice. Victoria sees us first. Her face goes pale, then red, then settles into a mask of fury. She grabs Julian's arm and says something sharp. His head turns. Our eyes meet across the crowded ballroom. For a moment, time stops. I see the recognition dawn in his expression. Shock, confusion, something that might be regret. His gaze drops to the dress, the diamonds, the way Dante's hand rests possessively on my hip. Then I do exactly what Dante taught me. I smile at Julian like he's a stranger I vaguely remember meeting once, and I turn away. "Perfect," Dante breathes. "Absolutely perfect." My heart is hammering so hard I'm afraid it might break through my ribs, but I keep my expression serene. Bored even. Like Julian Harrington is the last person I'm interested in seeing tonight. We take our seats. Dante orders wine and makes casual conversation with the other guests at our table, his hand never leaving my back, or my hand, or my thigh. The touches are calculated, I know, designed to send a clear message about who I belong to tonight. But they also feel protective, grounding, real. Dinner is served, course after course of food I'm too nervous to taste. I push things around my plate while Dante handles the social navigation, drawing me into conversations when needed, deflecting when I look uncomfortable. "Elena?" The voice comes from behind me, familiar and unwelcome. I turn slowly, forcing my expression to remain neutral, and look up at Julian Harrington. He's even more handsome than I remember, which somehow makes this worse. His blue eyes are wide, his perfect hair slightly mussed, like he's run his hands through it. He looks uncertain, off balance. Good. "Yes?" I keep my voice polite, distant. He glances at Dante, then back to me. "I didn't expect to see you here." Life is full of surprises. I take a sip of wine, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. Julian shifts his weight. "Can we talk? Privately?" "I don't think that's appropriate," Dante says before I can answer. His voice is pleasant, but there's steel underneath. "Elena is here with me. I wasn't asking you. You were asking my date to leave me, sitting here alone while she has a private conversation with her ex-boyfriend." Dante's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "So yes, you were asking me. And my answer is no." Julian's jaw tightens. "Elena, please." "I'm fine where I am, Julian." The words come easier than I expected. "If you have something to say, you can say it here." He looks between us, clearly struggling. Finally. "I'm sorry. About the hospital. About everything. I should have handled it differently." "Yes," I agree. "You should have. Victoria, she just showed up, and there was pressure from my family, and I made a mistake." "Multiple mistakes," I correct gently. "But it doesn't matter anymore." "Doesn't matter," He actually looks wounded. Elena, we spent 6 months together. And you ended it in a hospital corridor while my mother was dying. I set down my wine glass carefully. So yes, Julian, it doesn't matter anymore. I've moved on. His eyes dropped to Dante's hand on my thigh, then snapped back to my face. With him? Elena, do you have any idea who— Careful, Dante interrupts, his voice dropping to something dangerous. You're about to say something you'll regret. Julian takes a step back, and I realize with a start that he's actually afraid of Dante. The always composed, always in control Julian Harrington is afraid. I'm getting emotional over here. If this story is hitting you right in the feels, let me know in the comments. We're just getting to the best part. I just wanted to apologize, Julian says, his voice quieter now, and to make sure you're okay. I'm better than okay. I look up at Dante and the smile that crosses my face is genuine. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Something flickers in Dante's dark eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or something warmer. Julian stands there for another moment, clearly wanting to say more. Then Victoria appears at his elbow, her hand possessive on his arm. There you are, darling, she purrs. Her eyes land on me, cold and assessing. Oh, you. Victoria. I don't bother with false warmth. She looks me up and down, taking in the dress, the jewellery, the way Dante's hand has moved to my lower back. I see the exact moment she does the math, realises that the girl from the hospital is now sitting at a better table, wearing a better dress, with a far more dangerous man. Well, she says tightly, isn't this cosy? Isn't it? I smile at her with all the warmth of a cobra. You look lovely tonight, Victoria. That dress is very safe. Her face goes red. Dante's thumb traces circles on my back. Approval, I think, or maybe amusement. Come on, Julian, Victoria snaps, already turning away. We're needed at our table. Julian lingers for just a moment longer, his eyes on mine. Elena. Goodbye, Julian. The finality in my voice is clear. He leaves. The moment they're gone, I realize I'm shaking. Dante's hand tightens on my back. Breathe, he murmurs. You did perfectly. I don't feel perfect. I feel like I'm going to throw up. You will not throw up in a $12,000 dress, but his voice is gentle. You just faced down the man who broke your heart and came out on top. You're allowed to feel shaky. How do you do this? I turn to face him. How do you make it look so easy? Practice. His expression is unreadable, and understanding that most people are cowards. They only have power if you give it to them. And if you don't, then you become untouchable. He stands and offers me his hand. Dance with me. I stare at his outstretched palm. I don't know how. You do tonight. It's not a request. I take his hand, and he leads me to the dance floor. Several other couples are already swaying to the orchestra's music, but I barely notice them. All I can focus on is Dante, on the way his hand settles on my waist, the way he pulls me close enough that I can feel the heat of him through my dress. Put your hand on my shoulder, he instructs quietly. Look at me, not the floor. I do both, and suddenly we're moving. I don't know the steps, but somehow it doesn't matter. Dante leads with absolute confidence, guiding me through the dance like it's the most natural thing in the world. You're staring, I whisper. So are you. He's right. I can't look away from those dark eyes, from the sharp lines of his face, from the danger and promise written in every feature. Thank you, I say softly, for tonight, for everything. Don't thank me yet, but something in his expression has softened. The night's not over. As if on cue, I feel eyes on us. I glance over Dante's shoulder and find Julian watching from his table, his expression tortured. Victoria is talking to someone beside her, oblivious to the fact that her fiancé is staring at another woman with naked longing. He's looking, I murmur. Good. Dante pulls me closer, his hand splaying across my lower back. Let him look. Let him see exactly what he threw away. The song ends, and another begins. We keep dancing. Around us, the ballroom glitters and spins. Conversations flow like champagne. The world Dante promised me, the world of power and revenge and justice, wraps around us like silk. And for the first time since I agreed to this insane arrangement, I think maybe I can do this. Maybe I can become who he sees when he looks at me. Maybe I already am. We stay for 2 more hours. Dante introduces me to people whose names I've only seen in Forbes articles. Hedge fund managers and tech moguls and old money families who've been running New York since before I was born, and every single one of them treats me like I belong. By the time we leave, my face hurts from smiling. My feet ache from the heels, but I feel alive in a way I haven't in years. The car ride home is quiet. Dante handles a few work calls while I watch the city lights blur past. I'm exhausted but too wired to sleep. "You surprised me tonight," Dante says after he hangs up his last call. "Good surprised or bad surprised?" "Good." He studies me in the dim interior. "I thought you'd break. Most people would have." "I wanted to, but you didn't." He leans forward, his eyes intense. "Do you know why?" "Because you told me not to?" "No." His hand reaches out, catching my chin and tilting my face toward him. "Because you're stronger than you think you are, Elena. Because somewhere underneath all that fear and self-doubt, there's steel. I saw it the moment I met you." His thumb brushes across my lower lip, and my breath catches. 29 more days, he murmurs, "and by the end of them, you'll see it too." Then he releases me and leans back, pulling out his phone like nothing happened. But my skin still burns where he touched me, and I can't stop wondering what happens when the 30 days are over. What happens when I have to walk away from the man who's teaching me how to be untouchable? The week that follows is a blur of events and appearances. Dante takes me to gallery openings and exclusive dinners, charity auctions and private clubs where the doormen know him by name. Each time I play my role perfectly. The mysterious woman on Dante Caruso's arm, beautiful and untouchable, and completely out of reach. And each time Julian is there. It's not coincidence. Dante makes sure we're invited to every event the Harrington family attends. He's orchestrating our encounters with surgical precision, and each one chips away at Julian's composure a little more. I watch him watch me across crowded rooms. I see the regret in his eyes, the questions. Victoria is always there, clinging to his arm like a lifeline, but even she can see that something has shifted. Julian isn't looking at her anymore. He's looking at me. "He's going to approach you again soon," Dante tells me one morning over coffee. We've fallen into a routine, breakfast together, business for him while I work with the tutors he's hired to teach me about art and wine and the subtle language of high society. "How do you know?" "Because he can't help himself." Dante doesn't look up from his tablet. "Men like Julian are used to getting what they want. The fact that you're no longer available is driving him crazy." "Good." He glances up at that, one eyebrow raised. "You're starting to enjoy this." "Maybe." I take a sip of coffee. "Is that wrong?" "No." His smile is slow and sharp. "It's human, and it means you're ready for the next phase." "Which is?" "Making him think he has a chance to win you back." He sets down his tablet and leans back in his chair, studying me. "Which means I'm going to stop touching you in public." The statement shouldn't disappoint me as much as it does. "Oh." Don't look so crushed. There's amusement in his voice. "It's strategy, Elena. Right now, I'm a barrier between you and Julian. But if I step back, if it looks like we're having problems, he'll swoop in to play hero. And then? Then you destroy him." Dante's expression goes cold. "You let him think he's winning you back. You let him believe. You still care. And then, when he's completely exposed, when he's ready to leave Victoria for you," he pauses, "that's when you walk away." The cruelty of it should bother me. It doesn't. "When do we start?" "Tonight. There's a fundraiser at the Met. We'll go together, but I'll be distant. Distracted. By the end of the night, Julian should think we're falling apart." He stands and moves around the table, stopping beside my chair. Can you handle that? I look up at him, at this dangerous man who's spent the last week teaching me how to be powerful, how to be untouchable, how to be someone Julian Harrington could never deserve. Yes, I say, I can handle that. Good girl. His hand settles on my shoulder, warm and heavy. But Elena? When Julian makes his move, and he will, remember something. This is a game. You're playing a role. Don't let him confuse you again. I won't. You say that now. His voice drops lower. But he was your first love. He knows exactly which buttons to push. So when he whispers those pretty lies, when he makes promises he can't keep, his hand tightens slightly on my shoulder. You remember who paid your mother's medical bills. You remember who pulled you off that hospital curb. You remember who actually kept his word. Our eyes meet, and something electric passes between us. I'll remember, I whisper. See that you do. Then he's gone, leaving me alone with my coffee and the ghost of his touch burning through my clothes. The next 3 weeks unfold exactly as Dante predicted. At events, he's polite but distracted. In public, he takes calls during our conversations, excuses himself to handle business, leaves me standing alone more often than not. And Julian, like a shark scenting blood, moves in. He calls daily, sends flowers, shows up at galleries when he somehow knows I'll be there. Each time, his apologies are more heartfelt, his promises more sincere. And each time, I let him believe I'm softening. I miss you, he tells me over coffee one afternoon. We're at a cafe in Soho, sitting at a window table, and anyone watching would think we're reconciling lovers. I miss the way you laugh, the way you see the world, the way you make me want to be better. Julian, I know I don't deserve you, I know that. He reaches across the table, taking my hand. But Elena, please, give me one more chance, let me prove I've changed. I look at our joined hands and feel nothing. What about Victoria? It's over. Completely. His thumb traces circles on my palm. I told my father everything. About us. About how I feel. He's not happy, but I don't care anymore. I choose you. The words are everything I wanted to hear 4 weeks ago. Now they just sound hollow. I need more time, I say softly. I'll wait. He brings my hand to his lips, kissing it gently. I'll wait as long as it takes. That night, I tell Dante everything over dinner. He's completely hooked, I report. He thinks I'm going to choose him. Good. Dante cuts into his steak with precise movements. How much longer do you need? For what? To be sure you can do this. He looks up at me. To be sure you can look him in the eye and walk away when the moment comes. I can do it. Elena. I can do it, Dante. I set down my fork. I know what you think. That I'm still that soft girl who falls for pretty words. But I'm not. Not anymore. Then prove it. He pulls out his phone and shows me a text. Julian invited you to his family's estate this weekend. Private, just the two of you. He's planning to ask you officially to be his girlfriend again. My heart kicks into high gear. How do you know? Because I have people everywhere. His expression is unreadable. This is it, Elena. This is your moment. You go to his estate. You let him think you're saying yes, and then I destroy him. Completely. He sets down his phone. But once you do this, there's no going back. He'll hate you. His family will hate you. You'll be burning bridges you can never rebuild. Good, I say. And I mean it. Dante studies me for a long moment. You've changed, he says quietly. You changed me. No, he shakes his head. I just showed you who you already were. The rest was all you. Something warm blooms in my chest. Pride, maybe. Or something more dangerous. Will you be there? I ask. At the estate? No. His voice is firm. This is something you have to do alone. But Elena? He reaches across the table, covering my hand with his. The second it's done, you call me. And I'll be there in 20 minutes. Wait until you see what happens next. This story is about to take a turn you won't believe. Don't go anywhere. Julian's family estate is in the Hudson Valley, a sprawling property with manicured grounds and a house that looks like it belongs in a period drama. He meets me at the door, casual in jeans and a sweater, looking nervous and hopeful. Elena. He pulls me into a hug. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. He shows me around, the gardens, the stables, the lake where he learned to swim. Everything is perfect and polished and utterly soulless. We have dinner on the terrace watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. I used to want to bring you here, Julian says. Before, I always meant to. Why didn't you? He looks uncomfortable. My parents, they wanted me to wait until things were serious, until I was sure. And you weren't sure about me. I was terrified of you. The admission seems genuine. You are so real, Elena. So honest and strong and completely yourself. Being with you made me realize how fake everything else was. How much of my life was just playing a role. And that scared you? Yes. He reaches across the table. But not anymore. Now I know. You're what I want. You're who I choose. This is it. The moment I've been building toward for 5 weeks. Julian. Wait. He stands and moves around the table, dropping to one knee beside my chair. I know this isn't a proposal, not yet. But Elena. He pulls out a small box. Inside is a simple bracelet, silver with a single diamond. Will you be my girlfriend again? Officially? Publicly? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you? He looks so earnest, so hopeful, so completely convinced he's won. I take the bracelet box from his hand, study it. Remember the girl I was who would have cried at this gesture. Then I set it down on the table. No. Julian's face goes blank with shock. What? I stand up, looking down at him still kneeling on the terrace. I said no, Julian. I won't be your girlfriend. I won't let you prove anything, because I don't want you anymore. Eleanor. He stands quickly. I don't understand. Don't you? I laugh, and it's cold and sharp. You really thought I forgave you? That I spent the last 5 weeks falling back in love with you? You. The coffee dates, the dinners. You said you needed time. I lied. The words feel powerful, liberating. I spent 5 weeks making you believe you had a chance, making you confess your feelings, making you end things with Victoria and tell your father and plan this grand romantic gesture. I gesture at the terrace, the bracelet, his stricken face. All so I could stand here right now and tell you the truth. Which is? His voice is hoarse. That I never forgave you, Julian. I never stopped hating you for what you did at that hospital. Every smile, every soft word, every moment you thought we were reconnecting. It was all an act. A game. Revenge. His face goes white. You're lying. You couldn't. That's not who you are. You're right. I step closer. That's not who I was. But the girl you knew, the soft, forgiving, eager-to-please girl who let you walk all over her. You killed her when you chose Victoria while my mother was dying. You destroyed her. Elena, please. So I became someone new. Someone harder. Someone who doesn't forgive and doesn't forget. I pick up the bracelet box and hand it back to him. Someone who knows exactly what she's worth. And Julian? She's worth so much more than you. Tears are actually streaming down his face now. I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me. You love the challenge. You love proving you can get back what you threw away. I grab my bag from the chair. But you never actually loved me, Julian. Because if you did, you never would have betrayed me in the first place. Where are you going? Home. I start toward the house. Elena, wait. Please, we can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I turn back one last time. You got exactly what you deserved, Julian. A taste of what it feels like to be humiliated, to be used, to believe in someone who never cared about you at all. I do care. You care about winning, about getting what you want, about soothing your guilty conscience. I shake my head. But you don't care about me. You never did. walk away, leaving him standing on the terrace with his bracelet and his tears and his shattered illusions. And I feel absolutely nothing. No guilt, no regret, no second thoughts, just pure, clean, victorious rage. I call Dante from the driveway. He answers on the first ring. Are you okay? I'm perfect. I'm shaking, but with adrenaline, not fear. It's done. Did he? He cried, Dante. He actually cried. I laugh, wild and free. He thought I was going to say yes. He had this whole romantic evening planned, and I destroyed it all. Where are you now? Walking to the gate. Your driver should be... I see headlights approaching. He's here. Good. There's something warm in Dante's voice. Come home, Elena. Home. The word settles in my chest, heavy and complicated. The car arrives and I get in. As we pull away from Julian's estate, I look back one last time. He's standing in the doorway watching me leave, just like I watched him walk away from me at the hospital. The symmetry is perfect. The revenge is complete. When I get back to the penthouse, Dante is waiting with champagne. To Elena Moretti, he says, handing me a glass, who just brought a Harrington to his knees. We drink, and he pulls out his phone. I have something to show you. It's a video, security footage from Julian's estate. It shows the terrace scene from multiple angles, shows Julian kneeling, shows me walking away. How did you... I told you. I have people everywhere. He stops the video on a frame of Julian's face, devastated and broken. Tomorrow morning, this footage gets delivered to Jonathan Harrington, along with a detailed account of how his son spent the last month trying to win back the woman he publicly humiliated. Will it hurt him? His father? It will destroy him. Dante's smile is sharp, because Jonathan Harrington doesn't tolerate weakness, and his son chasing after someone he considers beneath them, crying over her rejection. That's the definition of weakness in his world. Good. I drain my champagne. What else? Else? You said this was about revenge, about making his father pay for what he did to your family. I set down my glass. This can't be the end of it. Dante studies me for a long moment. You're right. It's not. He pulls up another file on his phone. For the past 5 weeks, while you were playing Julian, I've been playing his father, convincing him to invest in a development deal, getting him to put his personal funds, not company money, his personal fortune, into a project that's about to collapse. How much? $50 million. Everything liquid he has. Dante's expression is cold. By Monday, it'll be gone. Lost in a real estate venture that was doomed from the start. And there's no way to prove fraud, no way to recover the money. It's just... He makes a gesture of something disappearing. Gone. You're going to bankrupt him. I'm going to make him feel what my father felt. Powerless, desperate, destroyed. He looks at me. Is that too far? I think about Julian's tears, about the Harringtons' cruelty, about my mother dying because we couldn't afford treatment while they spent millions on parties. No, I say. It's exactly far enough. Dante's smile is slow and dangerous. Then we've done it, Elena. We've won. We pour more champagne and we drink to victory, to revenge, to justice finally served. But as the night wears on, as the adrenaline fades and reality sets in, I realize something. Our deal is over. 30 days have come and gone, which means tomorrow I'm supposed to walk away, go back to my life, be free. The thought makes my chest ache. Dante, I start. I know. He sets down his glass. Our deal is complete. Tomorrow you can go. I'll have Rosa help you pack. Your mother's care is fully funded for the next 5 years. You'll have enough money to finish school, start over, do whatever you want. And us? The question hangs between us, heavy and electric. There is no us, Elena. His voice is gentle but firm. That was always the deal, 30 days, then you're free. What if I don't want to be free? His jaw clenches. Don't do this. Do what? Tell you the truth? I stand up, moving closer to him. I'm in love with you, Dante. Not because you saved me, not because you're powerful or dangerous. I love you because you're the only person who ever saw exactly who I could be and demanded I become her. He's staring at me like I've grown a second head. You can't. I can. I do. I'm right in front of him now. And you love me too. I know you do. So stop being a coward and admit it. You deserve better. I deserve you. I grab his face, forcing him to look at me. I deserve the man who kept every single promise he made me. I deserve the man who sees me as I really am and doesn't try to make me small. Elena, do you love me? I demand. Yes or no, Dante? Do you love me? For a long moment, he just stares at me. Then his hands come up, covering mine against his face. Yes, he breathes. God help me, yes. I love you so much it terrifies me. Then stop pushing me away. I can't give you normal. I don't want normal. I want you. I lean in close, my forehead against his. I want this life. These late nights and dangerous games and victories we build together. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. His hands slide to my waist, pulling me flush against him. If you stay, if you choose this, there's no going back, Elena. You'll be mine. Completely. Good. I smile up at him. Because you're mine too. Completely. And then he's kissing me. Finally. After 30 days of restraint and weeks of longing, Dante Caruso kisses me like I'm air and he's been drowning. And I kiss him back the same way. When we finally break apart, both breathless, Dante rests his forehead against mine. I'm not easy to love, he warns. Good thing I'm not easy to scare away. He laughs, really laughs, and it's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Welcome home, Elena Moretti. Home, I echo, because that's exactly what this is. Not the penthouse, not the city. Him. Dante is my home. Did this story touch your heart? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe for more emotional, twisty romance stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. 2 years later, I'm standing in my own art gallery, my gallery, surrounded by photographs I took of New York's forgotten corners, transformed into something beautiful and haunting. The opening is packed, collectors are circling. The reviews have been incredible. Dante stands beside me, his hand on my lower back, proud and possessive in equal measure. My mother is here too, healthy and smiling, telling everyone who will listen about her talented daughter. Rosa brought champagne from the penthouse, the good stuff. And in the corner I spot a familiar face, Julian Harrington. He looks different, older, humbler. After his father's bankruptcy and the public humiliation of our failed reconciliation, he was forced to actually work for a living. He's a consultant now, rebuilding his life slowly. Our eyes meet across the gallery. He lifts his glass slightly, a silent acknowledgement. I nod back, because I'm not angry anymore. I got everything I wanted: revenge, justice, and love. You okay? Dante murmurs in my ear. Perfect. I lean into him. Absolutely perfect. Good. He pulls a small box from his pocket, opens it. Inside is a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. Marry me, he says. Not a question, a statement of intent. Be my wife, my partner, my equal in everything. Tears blur my vision. Yes, I whisper, yes, 1,000 times yes. He slides the ring onto my finger and it fits perfectly. Just like us. Just like this life we've built together. But then, something catches my eye. A man I don't recognize talking to Rosa in hushed tones. He hands her an envelope and disappears into the crowd. Rosa's face goes pale. She catches my eye and shakes her head slightly, a warning. What's wrong? Dante follows my gaze. I don't know. Rosa approaches us, the envelope in her hands. Mr. Caruso. Miss Moretti. I think you need to see this. Dante takes the envelope and opens it. Inside are photographs, documents, bank statements, and a note in familiar handwriting. His face goes white. What is it? I ask. He shows me. The note reads, Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Congratulations on your engagement, nephew. Your father would be so proud of the monster you've become. Jonathan Harrington. My blood runs cold. Nephew? Dante's jaw clenches. There's something I didn't tell you, something I should have told you from the beginning. What? He looks at me with eyes full of pain and regret. Jonathan Harrington is my uncle, my father's brother. They were business partners once before Jonathan betrayed him, before he destroyed everything. He pauses, which means, Julian is your cousin, I finish, my voice hollow. The revelation crashes over me like a wave. Everything I thought I knew, every choice I made, suddenly takes on new meaning. You knew, I whisper. This whole time, you knew we were connected by blood. Yes. And you still used me. You still orchestrated everything. To destroy the family that destroyed mine, yes. His voice is hard. But Elena, what we have, what we became, that was real. That was never part of the plan. How do I know that? Tears stream down my face. How do I know any of this was real and not just another move in your revenge game? Because I love you. Do you? I pull the ring off my finger and press it into his hand. Or do you just love what I represented? The perfect weapon against your family? Elena, please. But I'm already walking away. Out of my gallery. Out of the life we built. Out of the love story that was never quite what I thought it was. Because I learned something tonight. Revenge has a price. And sometimes the cost is everything you thought you wanted. The twist isn't that Dante was connected to Julian. The twist is that I have to choose. Forgiveness or justice, love or truth. The man who gave me everything or the girl I used to be who believed in honesty above all else. And I don't know which one wins. Not yet. But I will. Because if Dante Caruso taught me anything, it's that I'm strong enough to survive anything, even heartbreak, even betrayal, even the truth.